Hello again, you're joining us on this edition of India Tonight. Like I was telling you before the break, today the Indian government has officially recognized esports to be a part of the multi-sports event category under the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports. It's a big development. This after the President's notification that was issued on the 23rd of December that directs the IT Ministry to be the nodal agency for online gaming related matters, and the Sports Ministry will have to include it in its ambit. Singapore has now been confirmed to host the inaugural Olympic Esports Week. It's going to take place in June next year. But now the question is, how will the recognition of esports as a legit sport in India change the dynamics of the entire sector in terms of larger involvement, in terms of investments? How will the landscape change? That's what we're discussing tonight on the show. Manish Agarwal, founder of Web3 Gaming Venture, joining us along with Vaibhav Dange. He's the founding member of the Federation of Electronic Sports Association of India. And Ishan Verma is the director of Kemin Esports. Great to have all of you, gentlemen. Vaibhav Dange, coming to you first. How significant is the fact that now esports has been recognized as a legit sport in India? How, in your opinion, perhaps in bullet points, if you could, explain to us how this fundamentally changes the sports landscape in India?
No, absolutely. Certainly, it's a path-breaking initiative. It has been a landmark which we have been looking at from almost 1 year. The Federation of Esports of India and all the stakeholders in esports have been interacting with various government agencies, because there is multiple level of online and electronic games that is happening. So, in fact, Supreme Court has spoke about skill-based gaming. Globally, things are changing, and India cannot be left behind in this whole circle. So I think this is a very landmark decision of the government. From last 1 year, we have been interacting with IT Ministry, the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports, and it is really in line with what India, Honorable Prime Minister has said. India is looking at $500 trillion dollar economy, and esports will play a major role in terms of getting pie of that. So I think it's an important landmark decision, and recognizing esports as an official sports and a multi-sport event is something which will play a very long way in developing not only the players, but recognizing creating the whole system, ecosystem, players, team owners, tournament organizers, game developers. It's a whole ecosystem that will come into place, and the federations will play its part, and it will also help in recognizing the players, and players' interest can also be safeguarded. So I think it's a landmark decision for entire ecosystem to come into place. It will also help in weeding out the unwanted elements of this whole ecosystem. And I think not to comment more than that part, but government has done the first step of identifying and defining what is esports, what is online gaming,
Correct.
what is game of chance, what is gambling. So I think that's
so
a landmark.
let me take a step back and ask Ishan Verma, as perhaps a stakeholder of an esports organization, since you are a representative of that universe, so to speak. Help us understand what qualifies as esports. Now, to be able to accept it as a sport in its own right, we need to understand, because it has been around for a while, but many of us who haven't indulged in esports are still unclear what exactly it is. So can you help us with that, Ishan?
So basically, esports is a skill-based gaming. It could be on any platform, be it a mobile game or be it a PC game. So it's all about skill. It's completely different from an online gaming world where it is luck-based, and it's luck-based. But esports is completely I would say a skill game, skill-based.
Nish, now as far as Vaibhav Dange's opening comments go, as far as esports are concerned, there is an ecosystem that he says will further develop. At what stage are we when it comes to esports in terms of the ecosystem where it rests today?
Before I just answer, just kind of building on your previous question, in very simple terms, esports is when people are watching people playing video games, and people are playing competitive in formats like any other sports, cricket, football, kabaddi, whatever it is. And these are some of the best players of that game, which millions of people love to watch. They follow them. So esports, the only difference from the sports is that there is a physical game which is happening, in the physical arena. Here, the game is a video game. So that's the difference. Otherwise, in terms of the ecosystem which Vaibhav spoke about, the players, team owners, commentators, coaches, managers, the physiotherapist, the physical guys, physical trainers, everything is the same. And the entire business of sports is also the same in esports. It's no more different.
Where are we
And
now? Currently, if I was
the
to ask
beauty,
you, Manish Agarwal, if I was to ask you where we currently stand in India in terms of the development of the ecosystem, in terms of the adoption of the entire universe that it brings together, where are we at?
so I would be happy to share with you that if you look at concurrent viewership, because that's the key data point for any sports entertainment and viewership, the concurrent viewership of some of the finales of BGMI, which is Battleground Mobile India game, which happened in India, or the Pro Master Series, which happened on the Star Sports, the concurrent viewership of those programs was almost equal to the initial matches of IPL. That shows you the popularity of 14 to 25 wanting to watch this format of entertainment of sports because it's closest to them, and that's where you are seeing the concurrency growing. The second point is the concurrency is growing not just in English, but the concurrency is growing in multiple languages: Tamil, Telugu, English, and other languages. And that really kind of shows you the deep penetration and the viewership which you have across India.
So now, Vaibhav Dange, that we are looking at it as a sport, do you see this rise in career options? What is its potential to draw in talent at this stage? Because you need so much more in terms of sponsorship, in terms of investments, because the lure of money, there isn't one that beats that, does it?
No, absolutely. It's a sky is the limit for esports today, and this landmark decision will open up the entire gamut of esports. As I said, for example, uh, uh, I can share with Ishan's team. We have been doing school level and college level tournaments, and more than 50,000 students participate in those tournaments in last 6 months. We are doing player registrations, and more, almost 500,000 players are engaged playing in esports formally, competitive esports. So I think there is a tremendous amount of opportunity. And in fact, 6 months back, our federation published a report on the entire ecosystem that needs to be developed. It includes what is the kind of education that we will need to give to the students, what is the role team owners will have to play, how players registration will happen, how the players' interest will be safeguarded. For example, in esports, players are entering at a very tender age of 14 or 15 years. And by the time he's 23, 24, probably he'll be not playing a competitive esports. But we have been working with international esports authorities as well and the agencies as well to define courses where their skill can be used for better than implementation. For example, India is seeing the entire explosion of drone applications in India. These all esport players will become a very potentially suitable candidates for operating those drones just because of their playing skills. So I think those kind of multiple facets of esports will open up, right from, as I said, players, game developers. Today you will not see much of a game developers, but in last 3 years the number of game developers in India has increased from single digit to double digit.
Correct.
Number of team owners has increased from single digit to double digit. And as I said, sky is the limit. So I think uh, it's a step in right direction.
Yes.
And ecosystem will definitely play. India being the younger country, there is absolutely no chance we could have been leave this opportunity.
Yes, I'm looking at the popular games when it comes to esports as well, like Counter-Strike, Call of Duty, Dota 2, League of Legends. All of these are drawing in that much more popularity, and we will see how much further it grows now with
There is also
more of these
just to
coming
add to
through.
your,
Yes.
there is also an opportunity for Indian developers to develop Indian games on esports platforms. So I
Right.
think there is a huge, even domestic market for
Right.
those kind of Indian games.
Fair enough. We'll keep tracking developments on that count. Esports now getting that sanction as far as the government is concerned, calling it a sport. Manish Agarwal, Vaibhav Dange, Ishan Verma, thanks very much for joining us with your perspective on this.
Thank you.
And now, if you've watched the Netflix series Blown Away and ever wondered